May thy servant Camilla, who wears this crown, be filled by thine abundant grace and with all princely virtues. Reign in her heart, O King of love.
In a monarchy founded on image, tradition, and control, very nothing ever actually surprises Buckingham Palace. But this time, even the most experienced royal aides were silent. What began as rumors in royal corridors has now escalated into a full-fledged crisis. Queen Camilla has apparently been withdrawn from royal duties indefinitely following a revelation made by none other than Princess Anne. And not just any disclosure, a bombshell. Camilla hastily canceled a scheduled appearance at a state banquet in Windsor, causing the public to become aware of something peculiar. Hours later, the palace issued a terse, ambiguous statement claiming personal matters. However, insiders believe turmoil had broken out behind the scenes. Royal automobiles were spotted departing Clarence House in the middle of the night. Camilla's closest aides were summoned to emergency meetings. Most telling of all, Princess Anne reportedly spent nearly 2 hours in a private discussion with King Charles, following which Camilla was informed that she would no longer represent the crown in any capacity. What did Anne say? And why did it land with such finality? According to royal sources, Princess Anne, the monarchy's iron spine, presented King Charles with a dossier of worries, facts, and harsh words regarding Camilla's behavior. The nature of the discoveries remains unknown, but one thing is certain. Camilla's fall from grace was not a slip, but a collapse. Her royal itinerary has since been cleared indefinitely. Her image, which was rumored to be officially installed at Sandringham only weeks ago, has been surreptitiously delayed. Most shockingly, Camilla is alleged to have been requested to leave Clarence House entirely, although temporarily. The public has begun to put the puzzle together. Camilla and Kate have long had a tense relationship. There have been reports of subtle conflicts between William and Camilla, the frigid curtsy that never occurred, the rumors that Camilla attempted to advance her own family inside the royal hierarchy. Then came Kate's mystery health crisis, which alarmed the nation but experts now believe was the ultimate catalyst. And in the center of it all, Princess Anne, the princess who rarely talks but always acts when the monarchy is threatened. Now, the crown is at a crossroads. Queen Camilla, who was once expected to help modernize the monarchy alongside Charles, has been sidelined, possibly permanently. And with King Charles reportedly emotionally shaken and withdrawing from critical responsibilities, Prince William and Princess Anne are discreetly taking command. The question consuming Britain is no longer whether Camilla has fallen, but how far the palace would go to keep her away. For years, Queen Camilla stood beside King Charles III as a symbol of royal resilience, a lady who had overcome decades of public scrutiny, scandal, and chilly rejection to reach the pinnacle of the monarchy. However, that image is no longer intact. Camilla's fragile togetherness, which she had fought so hard to nurture, has unraveled in dramatic and irrevocable fashion. According to sources, the warning flags had been there for a long time before the public saw them. While the late Queen Elizabeth II reluctantly approved Camilla's appointment as queen consort, not all members of the royal family agreed. Tensions rose within the palace walls, but the tipping point was Camilla's increasingly brazen intrusion into royal affairs, rather than a formal statement. One of the most notable moments occurred during King Charles III's coronation. As the globe watched, watchers observed something unusual. 20 members of Camilla's family, including her children and grandkids, were granted front-row seats, despite the fact that none of them hold royal titles or perform public duties. Meanwhile, Kate Middleton's parents and siblings, pillars of public support and service, were conspicuously absent. To royal observers and insiders alike, this was more than a snub, it was a statement. Camilla was trying to rebrand the monarchy as a blended family, but what she really did was elevate the Parker Bowles clan to a status they were never meant to have, a senior courtier told reporters on the condition of anonymity. And this profoundly distressed William. It infuriated Kate and Anne. Anne viewed it as an affront to tradition. The Princess of Wales, who is usually measured in public, reportedly declined to curtsy to Camilla at a private royal reception after the coronation, causing ripples throughout the palace. While official sources dismissed the curtsy as hearsay, many insiders confirmed that it never occurred and marked the start of a quiet royal revolt. Behind closed doors, William and Kate were claimed to be deeply uncomfortable about Camilla's growing power. She had started attending occasions normally reserved for elder blood royals. Her name was supposedly offered as a potential patron for institutions associated with Princess Diana. According to leaked papers, Camilla was even lobbying for one of her grandkids to be appointed as a royal page permanently. According to one royal source, it was a calculated soft coup. However, not everyone was willing to play along. Princess Anne, the typically no-nonsense, hardest-working royal, apparently confronted Camilla's influence directly. She questioned her attendance at strategy sessions. She declined to attend certain gatherings where Camilla's family members were present. She is also thought to have discreetly cautioned King Charles that the monarchy's credibility was under threat. The internal strife escalated in early 2024, following a series of disagreements between Camilla and Kate. According to leaked information, Camilla privately criticized Kate's lengthy vacation from royal duties owing to health concerns. Worse, some aides alleged Camilla persuaded her own family members to temporarily support public appearances during Kate's absence. For Prince William, this was the last straw. The Prince of Wales allegedly confronted his father in a closed-door meeting, asking that the monarchy stop revolving around Camilla's ambitions. Sources described the encounter as tense and emotional. Charles, who was already under pressure from mounting health rumors, appeared to be split between his queen and his heir. But it wasn't just family members who were uneasy. Even longtime royal supporters in Parliament began to express concerns about the Queen Consort's growing visibility and power. Letters were reportedly exchanged, questions were asked, and behind it all, one individual was silently accumulating the facts: Princess Anne. Camilla became more isolated as the pressure mounted. Aides resigned. Public appearances were cut back. Then came the moment that altered everything. A disclosure by Princess Anne that, when shared with King Charles, supposedly resulted in Camilla being relieved of all active royal activities. A queen who had previously been reluctantly embraced and tolerated diplomatically was now being politically rejected. The illusion of unity that had supported Camilla's reign has been destroyed. Camilla's position is no longer ceremonial, but precarious, as King Charles steps more into the background. The crown has spoken. For Queen Camilla, there may be no way back in. For years, Princess Anne kept her thoughts to herself. The only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II, she is known for her calm demeanor, commitment, and frigid discipline. A royal who rarely talks unless she has something important to say. People pay attention when she speaks. In the instance of Queen Camilla, Anne's silence had come to an end. According to sources inside the palace, Anne had long been concerned about Camilla's influence, not only over Charles, but over the monarchy itself. She apparently thought Camilla was rewriting the rules to suit her own legacy. But Anne, schooled in a palace where duty always took precedence over feeling, kept her critiques quiet, until Camilla went too far. According to sources, a series of subtle maneuvers drove Anne into action. According to leaked internal reports, Camilla was increasingly being invited to critical royal gatherings, some of which were previously only open to bloodline royals. She had campaigned for the inclusion of her family, including her children and grandchildren, in future royal event planning, which had never been done previously for non-royal members. Anne felt it as an invasion rather than inclusion. Camilla was pushing boundaries Anne didn't even know existed, stated a senior courtier. And once she saw it affecting William and Kate, especially Kate's well-being, Anne decided enough was enough. The breaking point occurred at an emergency meeting with the king. In what insiders have described as the most direct confrontation of Charles's reign, Anne reportedly handed a private dossier containing letters, testimony from senior officials, and proof demonstrating Camilla's power over royal decisions, which Charles supposedly delegated totally to her. However, it was more than just an influence. Anne also expressed alarm about Camilla's purported private interactions with select press contacts and aristocratic allies, which were intended to promote her family and dominate media narratives about other royals, particularly Kate. The conversation, which lasted more than 2 hours in the king's private office at Clarence House, reportedly left Charles disturbed and obviously upset. While the details of Anne's briefing have not been formally confirmed, one insider put it bluntly. Anne came in with information, and Charles went out knowing his wife could no longer be trusted with the institution his mother had battled to safeguard. Camilla's royal calendar was canceled in less than a day. Her scheduled appearances were canceled. Aides near her were instructed to hand over internal documents. And Princess Anne, now backed by William, was secretly charged with stabilizing the palace during what some described as an emergency transition period. This was not an open insurrection. It was a surgical strike that only Anne could execute. Anne reportedly informed a staff member, "This isn't personal, it's constitutional." Her goal, she claimed, was not to humiliate Camilla, but to keep the crown from being transformed by entitlement, vanity, and self-interest. With Charles stepping down from numerous official obligations and William stepping up, Anne's influence is stronger than ever. She is no longer merely the most hard-working royal. She is the gatekeeper, the enforcer, the one who spoke up when others were afraid to. She effectively ended Camilla's rule from within. Because when Princess Anne decides to act, she does not cause a scene. She makes a change. If the royal family values image, Princess Kate is its crown jewel. She is beloved by the public, respected throughout the Commonwealth, and seen as the ideal modern queen-in-waiting, representing stability, grace, and a future in which the monarchy may believe. So when Kate fainted earlier this year at a private family event, the repercussions were seismic. The official palace line blamed weariness and complications related to a medical condition, but sources today reveal a more alarming truth. Kate had reached her breaking point, and at the heart of the stress, tension, and internal pressure that drove her there was Queen Camilla. A top staffer stated that Kate had been pushing through tremendous pressure for several months, raising her 3 children, assisting Prince William in his increasingly public transition to kingship, and keeping up with a demanding schedule was already enough. But behind the scenes, Camilla's alleged treatment of Kate had become nasty, calculating, and frigid. According to a palace insider, Camilla was frequently dismissive of Kate's contributions, referring to her as too soft for the job and still just Middleton. She reportedly objected to Kate being consulted on protocol matters and even lobbied to prevent Kate from taking on certain patronages previously held by Queen Elizabeth. But what is the most damning allegation? Camilla was feeding bad information to specific members of the press. Subtle, undermining disclosures intended to influence public opinion and harm Kate's image. It was death by whispers, explained one courtier. Little comments about her health, her role, her delicate nature. It was all deliberate. Kate's public departure was followed by an unexplained hospitalization. It caused widespread terror and turned William into a guy on fire. He allegedly addressed Charles in a heated exchange, demanding a halt to Camilla's overreach. However, Charles, who was described as becoming increasingly frail and emotionally overwhelmed, declined to intervene. That's when Princess Anne arrived, already armed with her dossier of concerns. She fully supported William and asked him to safeguard Kate, not just as a wife, but as the future of the monarchy. The time could not have been more vital. Because Camilla was gone and mute while Kate was healing. There is no public expression of support, no visit. There is no acknowledgement. It was the last nail. The public noticed. The press, which had previously been friendly to Camilla, became chilly. Headlines began to question her position. Royal watchers, many of whom adored Diana, saw history repeating itself. The empathetic daughter-in-law versus the cold-hearted queen. Camilla's legacy abruptly transformed. She was no longer the woman who had saved herself. She was now the lady whose ambition could have brought down the next queen. Camilla's itinerary was cleared within a few days of Kate's health announcement. Her security detail was reduced. And behind closed doors, top royals agreed that Camilla could no longer represent the crown. Kate, ever elegant, has not spoken about what occurred. Those closest to her, however, believe she is recuperating silently, but with greater strength than ever. And with William taking on a leadership position alongside Anne, the monarchy's future appears more cohesive, stable, and conventional. Camilla, on the other hand, may have paid the price for undermining Kate by losing her crown. Because devotion to the institution is everything in the modern royal family, and causing harm to its brightest star is a betrayal that no one is willing to forgive. When King Charles III ascended to the throne following Queen Elizabeth II's death, many expected him to have a brief but steady reign, a link between the past and the future, a king of continuity before the crown transferred to Prince William. But few could have guessed how soon that bridge would start to disintegrate. Behind the royal curtains, Charles had faced more than just the demands of royalty. He had been fighting for control of a besieged monarchy from inside. Camilla's expanding influence, Anne's relentless pressure, William's rising authority, and Kate's health issue had him torn in all directions. Then, according to palace sources, he cracked. The public witnessed a carefully crafted statement made by Buckingham Palace. His Majesty the King, after thoughtful reflection and consultation with his family and physicians, has chosen to step back from royal duties indefinitely in the interest of his health and the long-term future of the crown. But experts believe it wasn't the whole story. What is the real story? Charles had been cornered. Following Princess Anne's damning presentation of Camilla's influence on palace matters and Prince William's direct warning that the monarchy cannot survive another scandal, Charles was presented with an unthinkable choice. Support Camilla and risk fracturing the family, or step down. He chose the latter. Multiple royal aides confirmed that Charles was heartbroken by the information Anne presented to him, notably the allegations that Camilla attempted to manipulate press narratives and interfere with Kate's royal duties. He was heartbroken, one assistant admitted, but he knew deep down this couldn't go on. The final push came from William himself. According to one insider, in a harsh but necessary conversation, the Prince of Wales told his father, "We won't serve under her, and the country will not accept her." It was the ultimatum no king wanted to hear, from the son whom the public already recognized as their rightful monarch. Shortly after, Charles declared his desire to step down indefinitely, and Camilla was informed, by Princess Anne, that she would no longer be participating in royal activities in any official capacity. The message was clear. Camilla's time was up. Since then, Charles has virtually disappeared. Retreating to Balmoral for rest, his public events have been canceled, and his private staff has been reduced. Some say he may never return to full duty. Others see this as the first step towards a silent abdication. In his absence, Prince William and Princess Anne have taken over major engagements. Despite her recovery, Kate is anticipated to resume restricted duties soon, solidifying her status as the monarchy's future queen alongside her husband. And Camilla, her name has vanished from public life, and it is no longer prominently included in palace communications. There is no formal dethroning of a queen consort. However, Camilla has been eliminated, her presence erased not by law, but by will. And Charles, the man who has waited a lifetime to be king, now sits in quiet, his crown intact, but his court vacant. The final blow was neither scandal nor rebellion. It was a reckoning, led by Anne, carried by William, and sealed with the one thing Charles never expected to face: his own failure to prevent it. This was not a press release. It was not a formal ceremony. It was not even a public gesture. Queen Camilla's fall from grace occurred behind closed doors, with precision and finality, not by her husband, the king, but by the one royal she could never charm or outmaneuver, Princess Anne. According to palace sources, the meeting took place just days after King Charles declared that he would be stepping down permanently from royal duties. Camilla, who was already shaken and reportedly secluded at Clarence House, had been waiting, believing that everything would be well soon, that once the dust has settled, her position will be restored. Charles, as he always did, would protect her from the consequences. But that illusion was destroyed the instant Princess Anne arrived through the door. The two women met discreetly, escorted by only one senior royal aide. The following was not a negotiation. It was an execution of a royal decision. "You're done here, Camilla," Anne reportedly remarked, in the same harsh tone that gained her the reputation as the firm's iron fist. "There is no road forward that involves you. Your position in the monarchy has come to an end." Camilla was claimed to be stunned into silence. For a queen who had endured decades of scandal and clawed her way to the throne through sheer endurance, this was an unexpected outcome, dismissed by royal order rather than media scandal. Anne supposedly described the expectations going ahead. Camilla's public obligations were completed. Her offices and personnel would be eliminated. She would no longer live in Clarence House, the royal house she occupied with Charles. She would keep her title in name only, without purpose or acknowledgement. Most severely, her influence over the royal family was suddenly nullified, a complete loss of power. This is not punishment, Anne is reported to have decided. This is containment. Camilla's reaction, according to an assistant who witnessed the discussion, was a mixture of disbelief and despair. She allegedly fell into tears, pleading with Charles to explain his choice. But Charles, still retreating to Balmoral and emotionally shattered, had gone mute. He didn't call, he didn't write, and he did not stop it. Camilla had left Clarence House the next morning, escorted by her personal protection rather than royal soldiers, making her final departure unceremonious and invisible to the public. She fled to her secluded estate in Wiltshire, where she remains to this day, isolated from royal life and observed solely by the tabloids buzzing outside her gates. Her closest confidants describe her as humiliated and deeply bitter. Some say she's thinking about writing a tell-all memoir, while others say she's hoping Charles will return one day and fight for her place. But those inside the palace claim the page has already turned. Camilla's chapter is finished. Princess Anne, the woman of quiet courage and unfailing commitment, wrote the final phrase. Because in the end, this was not a rivalry. It was not about gossip. It was about one simple truth. There is no place in the future of the monarchy for a queen who prioritizes herself over the crown. Queen Camilla's royal journey began with scandal and has now ended in silence. For decades, she resisted public indignation, media scrutiny, and private opposition to climb the royal ladder, eventually being crowned alongside the man she loved. But in the end, it wasn't the tabloids, the public, or Diana's memories that brought her down. It was the family she believed she had joined. Her downfall was not theatrical, it was clinical. Behind the royal walls, where true authority resides, the monarchy chose preservation above tolerance, image over devotion, and duty over affection. And with Princess Anne and Prince William in charge of that decision, a message was conveyed louder than any crowning horn. The monarchy will not yield to personal ambitions, not anymore. Camilla's exile symbolizes more than the end of a contentious reign. It marks the start of a new era, one characterized by clarity, control, and family allegiance. The era of blurred lines, exalted in-laws, and backroom maneuvering is finished. What lies ahead is a streamlined monarchy centered on William, Kate, and the immediate successors to the throne. Princess Anne's pivotal involvement in this transition solidifies her reputation as the monarchy's quiet enforcer, the one who sustains the institution even when others fail. And by supporting his aunt and safeguarding his wife, Prince William has demonstrated that he is not just ready to lead, but to govern. Meanwhile, Camilla drifts into the background, her title remaining but her influence gone. Some will remember her as a tragic figure. For others, this is a warning tale. Regardless, the verdict is clear. You may sit beside the crown, but it does not belong to you. Camilla's dismissal is both a scandal and a sacrifice made by the royal family to secure its future in a monarchy where silence is strategy and tradition is law. In the House of Windsor, queens are created by the crown and unmade by the family who defends them.